Welcome everyone. Today we will read a verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 3. Before, we'll invoke the mercy of the Supreme Lord, so repeat after me. Translation. O Arjun, with strong arms, the one who doesn't hate anyone, who does not desire anything, is worthy to be called a sannyasi. Because the one who is free from duality, from hatred and attachment, becomes easily liberated from the slavery of this material world. Purport. A devotee who is taking shelter in Krishna through his devotional service see in his heart the revelation of his eternal link with him. He becomes liberated from the reaction of his past activities and from the influences of the material nature, and then he acts only for the satisfaction of the Lord and practices the most perfect renunciation. He is not attracted to anything which is material. He is free from duality and from all kinds of attachment. He is free from the cycle of birth and death.
Sapitam yena buddhare swayam rupa khadamayam dadati so odantikam. He Krishna karuna sindhu dinabandhu jagatpate gopesha gopika kantam radhakantam Tapta Kamsana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vichavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhuttare Srimati Namaste Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Kauravani Prachaline Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Prachatyadishataline Vanchakarpatarobhyacham Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
I offer my humble respects to all the persons gathered today. Here it's a question of sannyasi, a person who renunciates to his own pleasure, to his own satisfaction, in order to live only for the joy of the Supreme Lord. So in the traditional conception, we accept that the Supreme Lord doesn't need anything. Why? Because everything emanates from Him. So, because everything emanates from Him, why would He need anything? Why would He need prayers, offerings, since He is satisfied in Himself, Atmaram? Now we can ask ourselves another question. Why does He manifest ourselves? Why does He manifest us if He's self-satisfied? Why does He manifest a creation, a diversity, feelings? It's because He loves also to have loving relationships. So what's our swadharma, our nature? It is naturally linked to this creation. So we are made to have a loving relationship with Him. And this Lord, since the soul is a part of Himself, then automatically it has this propensity inside of Him to love and to receive love. When a living entity is separated from love, it dies. But we see in this material world, when the soul links herself with loving relationship with material, in the material way, it cannot obtain full satisfaction, because there is no full satisfaction with the relationship with a small love. It can quench the thirst for a little bit, the fact of not having shelter, of not being loved, but there's some kind of insatisfaction still. We cannot say otherwise. Never anyone liberated us from all sufferings. So, with lives and lives, and the accumulation of this search for love, at some point we can understand our swadharma, our nature. And it's at this moment that we'll start to serve and to understand that by giving our love, by giving our time, by sacrificing our life, so it's a sacrifice of love, of course, then we will obtain the highest love. And what's very interesting is that in this sacrifice, since the Lord manifests so many variety, so many differences. Everything is inside of this. It's not a sacrifice that once you attain this love, no one is existing, you detach from everything. No. This detachment comes because you are linked to Krishna. It means instead of seeing a relationship, for example, between me and Garuda here, without the Supreme Lord, I see this relationship with him. So if I see this relationship in rapport with Krishna, then naturally it becomes perfect, because there's no illusion that can destroy this relationship, because this relationship is established for the Krishna's pleasure. Even if he acts wrongly, it will make me progress, because since I'm doing this for Krishna, even if Garuda is hurting me, this is a proof of love what I'm doing. And at this level, everything becomes perfect, because you can progress all the time. But when you put Krishna aside in your life, or at some point you are with him and at other time you say, oh no, here it's not possible, so I set him aside, I hide him. We say that, oh, he cannot see me. So at this moment, this loving link, which is, because it's not permanent, it cannot work. Because love has a quality, is that it's constant. We don't have self-interest in this action. Not for happiness, or not to get away from suffering. And we have to put feelings in this. When these elements are present, and they are constant, then we can be with him constantly. And what's very interesting, the personal relationship with God is completely different from an impersonal relationship with God. That's the experience of the sages. When we when we speak to a person, this person can interact with us. This person can come, can get rid of our tears, speak to us about love directly. But the difference with the ordinary person is that God is unlimited in beauty, in sweetness, in qualities. And this is something that we cannot conceive. Because when Krishna takes care of you, then you feel a love which cannot be described by a conditioned soul, by matter. It's not possible. Because this love is so powerful that you can die millions of times at each moment if you feel that Krishna is not coming to you. And this is not a love that we can understand with this body. It's an experience. So when this experience comes, who can go on the same level as Krishna? No one. No one has the power to capture you anyway, to attract you anymore, or to control you anymore. Not the powerful people, or not even the nice words. No one. Because everything is small compared to this. So, from this point on, you become completely free to act for him and for the well-being of other living beings. And this is what we call a sannyasi. Unless you are on this platform, we cannot be called a renunciate. It means we will be dressed as one, but to have women, to have celebrity, to have money. There's a lot of people like this in India. A lot. People who are very famous, but who like small children, for example. And they can even have mystical powers. They can appear from a fire. They can be at several places at the same time. But they are not free from desire. Because mystical powers, even a demonic person can develop these powers. Hiranyakashipu had mystical powers. Ravana had mystical powers. The big demons, they had mystical powers because they can be cultivated in a material way. When we can unlock our chakras by breathing, we can attain mystical powers. But you cannot obtain God like this. Because in fact, Krishna reciprocates only with love. And love, the symptom of love, is that I exist for you and you exist for me. This is love. If you worship God to have mystical powers, it's not love. It's a bargain. If you worship God to have a material result, for happiness or suffering, it's not love, it's a bargain. Love, to be called love, it has to be pure. And it cannot be separated from this swadharma, this knowledge. When you understand why you are manifested, and then when you act with this knowledge, then love appears. That's why we need knowledge. When knowledge is not perfect, it doesn't allow us to understand our nature. But who can give this knowledge? Only the Supreme Lord, Krishna. That's why He comes to give this knowledge. He comes because He has the power to do so. Because He manifests so many universes with so many living beings. But why He manifests them? Because some, they want this experience of independence. The Lord gives a full liberty, full freedom. Love means freedom. If there's some kind of slavery and laws, it's not love anymore. So, if you don't want to be with Him, He has to find a way so you can do whatever you want. Construct your own world. Forget Him completely. This is the material world. And it's working. We forget completely our swadharma, up to the point that we think we're a man or a woman. But still, we will have to leave this body. But we are determined with feelings which are temporary, with attachments that will go away, with attachments to a place, even for a birthplace, for example. But this place will have to leave it. Because in fact, when we are cut from this swadharma, we put our material condition, our feelings, as the most important thing. And because of this, we cannot establish a link with God. But when we understand our nature, what do? We utilize everything that we have for love, in order to serve Krishna. It's so simple. It's not that we renounce. We renounce to this illusion, to think that something is independent, because everything comes from Him. He says even in the Gita, even the fire of digestion, it's Him. Everything, the senses, the thoughts. So, when we understand this, we live with this truth. And this is something which is wonderful and good, because when we live in truthfulness, naturally we feel free. There's nothing worse than living in hiding, living in lies, playing a game. How many different personalities we have played in this life. It's amazing. If I think back at my life, when I was young, how many different look I had, how many different music I listened to, how many different ideals I accepted, and ideologies. When we're young, it's shifting a lot, changing a lot. Different modes, different friends. And the more we get old, the more we stay with one. But we need to always find something new, to find something that can nourish us. But when we accept our swadharma, it's happening inside of us. It's not happening outside anymore. We discover something that constantly evolves and that is it's more and more wonderful. This is the difference. And at this moment we become fully peaceful. because we don't need to look anymore, to search anymore. We don't need somebody else to be happy. The only thing we need is to make Krishna happy. And how we make him happy? Through his creation, through living beings. Because compassion exists in the Lord. And because he loves us, and that he has a personal relationship with all of us that cannot be changed by someone else, we are unique. Because of this, he has a separation from us. And at the same time, he needs to give us freedom. So what we can imagine in this world is the love of a parent for his child. Those who don't have child cannot understand this, but those who have children, for example, if they have like strong children who are very independent, who received so much love but that are rejecting the parents then, and who are not feeling nice for their parents, these parents can understand, because love stays while the child is hating his parents and accuse his parents to be bad parents, even though they did everything for his happiness. And this exists a lot. So then we can understand, because love is there, but at the same time, the person doesn't want our love. So imagine if this would happen, if this is happening to us, Krishna, who's at the origin of even billions, it's nothing, of unlimited numbers of living beings. Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, there's billions of universes that exist, and in these billions of universes, there's an infinite number of living souls, because the soul is even in the tree, in the grass. So the Lord, he feels this separation from all these living beings, because he is God. Us, we cannot do this. So he has to find a way to save all living beings. But still, these living beings, they are rejecting him. Oh, I don't want you. I don't want you. So in fact, in this verse, Krishna explains that he accompanies the living being in the heart as the Supreme Soul. He is in the deepest part of ourselves, and he accompanies us. And in the Harinam Chintamani, Srila Haridas Thakur, he's praying the Lord, you're constantly trying, to deviate the wrong desires of the living beings, so they can come back to you. So we should never think that everything that is happening to us is something that doesn't have any sense. Because the soul, because it is antimatter, just like the Supreme Soul, it cannot truly live in the material world. So it receives external covering, like the senses, the mind, false ego, that's covering the capacity of the living being to express this loving relationship with Krishna, because the living entity doesn't want this relationship. But when this soul suffers, it cannot be touched. If someone is killing you, the soul is just leaving the body and is going somewhere else. The soul itself cannot be touched. So when we awake ourselves to our Swadharma, to this eternal nature, we go away from this conception where we are bewitched by the material nature. And then we awake to this reality. We can see what's happening. It's something that we cannot conceive. And we see living beings suffering. All of them. Poor people, rich people, everyone's suffering. The Lord Brahma, he explains in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 12, that the definition of the human being is to think that his suffering is his happiness. This is it's the principle, the idea of passion. When we are influenced by passion, so the living being, the human being is mostly influenced by passion. All this, that attachment that is bringing suffering to him, he thinks this is my happiness. But in fact, when we receive the influence of goodness, by the fact of engaging ourselves in the devotional service, we see this reality. That's why there's some kind of detachment. Why would we be attached to something which is making us suffer? This is the idea of goodness. When someone is not enough influenced by goodness, he cannot see this. He thinks, in fact, that which is bad it's something good for him. But then when this truth comes, he detaches himself naturally in his way of behaving, in his way of relating with this suffering. He's detaching himself. So spiritual life is something which is very scientific, really scientific. Because the Lord gives a science to awaken ourselves to our reality. And this reality, naturally, it's giving a vision of the desires which are pure, linked to the soul, and also it's giving a way of acting which is perfect, without giving suffering in return. And it's something that is very important. If we look, for example, in the material relationships, it's relationships which are mostly egoistical. I realized this personally in my life. When I turned myself to the Lord and my nature changed, because before I was someone different, I was a hard person, and I saw that people that love me how I was before, when I went toward love, I couldn't bring them anymore. Even people in my family, I couldn't bring them what they were knowing of me, what they were waiting from me. And I saw some kind of detachment at some point. No one is interested in you anymore at some point. This is material life. But when the Swadharma is truly coming inside of the living being, we receive a special intelligence. We receive a special intelligence because the Lord, He will use us as a tool, as a perfect tool. We will be able, when we're accomplished, we will be able to give what everyone needs. And it's something very mystical. At first it's not perfect, but when we become perfect, and that we detach ourselves from the material conditioning to accept our Swadharma, then we can accept all kinds of relationships for the good of other living beings. And naturally, when you are situated in this reality, all the people that were rejecting you, they accept you back. Because this intelligence allows to understand what do these people need. That's why, very often, we speak about this non-sectarian aspect of spirituality. This is a proof of it. Because this intelligence that we receive is not made to control other. It's not made to give faith to others, to put faith in others. It's made to give a mercy that everyone needs according to his own qualification. In fact, when we become a devotee of the Lord, we become very dear to the Lord. Very, very, very dear. We cannot even imagine. And simply this fact of being a devotee and that people like you and appreciate you, it's explained that in their next life they have the mercy of the Lord. Just through this. There's a person who was very, very sinful. It means like a killer,
Et c'est une histoire qui est pour
See,
imager.
it's a story
Et,
to give an idea.
elle avait laissé passer
And this
un
person had let a Vaishnav go in front of him on the way,
Yamaraj, celui
and
qui
because
donne
of
son
because of this,
sang,
Yamaraj, the one who's giving the karma afterlife, he forgets
parce
all
qu'en
his
fait, les Vaishnavas, ils sont
wrong
tellement
deeds
chers
just
au
because
Seigneur
of he did this.
que même leur
Because the Vaishnavas
compagnie,
are so
même s'ils
dear to the
ne
Lord,
parlent même
even
pas
if you
en
have
fait
company,
directement du Seigneur,
if you have
le
some
Seigneur
company
est
with them,
toujours présent dans leur parole,
even if they don't speak about the
dans leur
Lord,
présence.
the Lord is always present in their
Et le
words,
Seigneur,
in
il
their
devient
presence also.
extrêmement
And the Lord
miséricordieux
becomes very
envers une
merciful
personne qui
towards a person who likes this Vaishnava.
Donc, quand vous vous associez
So when you
avec une
associate
telle
yourself with
personne,
such a
vous
person,
recevez directement la
you
miséricorde
receive
du Seigneur.
directly
C'est
the
comme
mercy
quelque
of the
chose
Lord.
d'invisible.
It's something which is like invisible, in fact. It's so mystical.
Que dans vos prochaines vies,
And in your next life, instead of paying all the consequences of your actions, simply by one instant of appreciation, one instant of seeing a Vaishnav, you can have a human body in the next existence and start devotion.
c'est tellement puissant.
It's so powerful,
la présence d'un Vaishnava.
the presence of a
Tous
Vaishnav.
vos péchés deviennent
All your
purifiés
sins becomes
juste
purified
par le contact d'un
just by the contact of a Vaishnav.
Et vous obtenez
And you obtain
une conscience
a consciousness,
supérieure.
a higher consciousness.
Si c'est pas dans cette vie,
If it's not in this life, it's in the next one.
vous êtes obligé de
You are
devenir
obliged
un dévot du
to
Seigneur.
become a devotee of the Lord. It's like this.
Merci.
Thank you very much.
Donc ça vaut le coup.
So it's worth it.